Millions of Americans are in debt due to this one thing, and that one thing is the lifestyle inflation. Now, to be fair, we've all had this happen to us. We get some extra income, and then we have more money, so now we go and spend it. And unfortunately, this becomes a dangerous cycle because we increase our fixed expenses and then we all of a sudden need more income because we are now spending all of our income, and then it becomes a dangerous cycle where we're constantly trying to catch up. So I'm going to take you through in this video how to avoid that and how I personally avoid lifestyle inflation. So if you don't know, my name is Alex and I host a personal finance community as well as my channel here on YouTube. So thank you for watching. So the first thing that I do to avoid lifestyle inflation is I create a cap on my fixed expenses. So I've narrowed it down to two fixed expenses that you really want to pay attention to. And that's going to be your living expenses, number one, and number two, that's going to be your vehicle expenses. Now I find that these are two of the biggest fixed expenses in a monthly budget. And your living expenses are going to be your biggest piece of that fixed expense. So when you go to move into a new place or purchase a property, make sure that you're leaving yourself some extra income every single month in your budget to support that and not be caught up in the luxuries of a place that you're looking to buy. One thing that me and my wife did personally is that we made sure, even though we were dual income, that we could afford the place on one income only. If one of us lost our jobs, we'd still be able to afford it using the other income or using a savings fund, and I highly recommend that. The other thing is the automotive or vehicle expenses, and I know it's very hard to avoid having auto loans nowadays with the prices of new vehicles, but even a car 2 or 3 years old, greatly save on the depreciation of the car while also making sure that it fits within your income. It's very important that you create a cap on these fixed expenses and you pay attention to them before you make a giant decision that's going to trap you for the next, 1, 2, 3, or even, 10 years into the future. The number two thing that I do to prevent lifestyle inflation personally is just understanding your financial picture. Now, I know it's very daunting and it's very boring to go through and create a budget, but if you just do it one time, sometimes you'll notice there are certain expenses that you didn't even know you were spending so much on. I remember when I first graduated college and I got my very first job out of college, I started going out to eat way more just for lunches alone. And I never knew how much I was spending on food until one day I decided to actually take a look at, hey, what am I spending my money on? And I realized I was spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on just going out to eat. And I would have not even realized this choice if I had not sat down and just taken a look at it one day. So it can be very daunting to look at this, but it's worth it just because you may not realize how much money you're spending on some things, and just knowing that in your mind will mentally set you up for a good future and not run into lifestyle inflation if you know how much you're spending on these things. So it's good to understand your financial picture. Number three is upgrading strategically and not emotionally. So there's three things that I generally look for when I'm going to upgrade something in my life. So number one, does it save me time? So saving time is very important, especially as your income goes up. And if you get into a high income bracket, saving time becomes very important because your time is worth a lot of money. The second thing that I'm asking myself generally is, does this improve my health? So this can be things like food. I don't mind spending a little bit extra money on food if it's going to improve my health. If I'm buying healthy food, this is definitely an investment that I'm going to want to make. And the number three thing that I'm going to ask myself is, will this increase my earning potential? So this especially applies to clothes, because clothes is a very big thing, with our lifestyle. We like to look good, we like to feel good, and that's very important. But you want to pay attention to, is this actually going to increase my income? So like if you're going to buy a new suit or new clothes for an interview, I would say definitely go and make that investment, and I've done that personally. If there's a new pair of shoes that just came out and I really want them, I might not make that investment because having the shoes that I'm wearing already and they're in good condition and they're good quality, I don't need to go and buy those new shoes because that's really not going to improve my life in the long run. So those are the three things that I'll generally ask myself when I'm going to upgrade something in my life. And that's a great way to avoid lifestyle inflation. The number four thing that I do is I create a life for myself that I can enjoy without sacrifices. And this is going to be a great way to create a long-term strategy to avoid lifestyle inflation. Because let's be honest, I don't want to be cheap in my life, and I don't want to feel like I'm losing out on things and missing things in my life, because that's really is what drives people to, upgrading their life beyond their means. So I want to create a life for myself that I can live long term and that I can always return to. And what I mean by this is I don't want to go to Starbucks every single day. So what I do is I buy a really good high quality coffee machine, and I can make my coffee at home. During the week, I'm saving all that money on coffee that I would be spending out. But maybe on the weekend I do go get a Starbucks coffee, but I'm only doing that, maybe 1 or 2, 3, 4 times a month versus if I was to go and buy it every single day. So I create a really good coffee at home, and this saves me money in the long run. This is just one example of things that I do that I can create a base life that I can enjoy without feeling like I'm sacrificing anything. Maybe if you want to have people over instead of going out to the club and buying drinks, because you're going to be blowing so much money there versus buying drinks at the grocery store and then having people over. You can have just as good of a time, if not a better time doing that. So little things like that help me create a base life that I enjoy without feeling like I'm sacrificing anything. And my financial picture is actually better in the long run because of that. Finally, the number 5 thing that I do is I judge myself against my prior self, not against other people or what I might see online. Because this is one reason why many people have lifestyle inflation. For example, they might see someone buying a brand new car on social media, even though that car may be leased and may be rented. Who knows? You don't know when you see things online. What I do is I judge myself against my prior self, because that means I'm always improving and I can always compare myself to my prior self, and I'm not comparing myself to other people, and I'm always feeling worse because, like everyone says, there's always a bigger fish, and you're always going to see that online, and you may feel bad about yourself and feel like I need to go spend more because I'm not as good as maybe these other people that I'm seeing online. But I compare myself to what I've been doing previously, and that's been a great way to keep myself positive and know that I'm improving, because I can say, compared to what I'm doing last year, look how much I've improved. Look how much I've saved or invested or made compared to what I've previously done. And that's all you really can do, right? But if you compare yourself to people, you don't know what advantages they might have had or what situation they might have had growing up. So you can't compare yourself to other people in that way. You have to compare yourself against yourself and be constantly improving against yourself. So those are the 5 ways that I avoid lifestyle inflation, and I'd love to hear what you do to combat lifestyle inflation in the comments below. So go ahead and drop a comment on that. And if you want to learn more, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the channel.